Imagine walking into a small-town diner, where the coffee's hot, the insults are hotter, and one woman stands at the center of it all. They called her a monster, mocked her scars, and laughed at her pain. But what they didn't know was the secret she carried. A secret so powerful it would bring their world crashing down. This is the story of a woman who turned cruelty into strength, silence into strategy, and humiliation into a victory that would echo across the nation. Buckle up, because you're about to witness a tale of resilience, revenge, and redemption that will leave you speechless. Hit that subscribe button, because trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The fluorescent lights of Daisy's diner buzzed softly in the early morning haze of Willow Creek, Texas. The air smelled of bacon grease and burnt toast, but the real heat came from the sharp tongues at table 12. Marcus Reed, a self-proclaimed titan of industry, slammed his fist on the table, sending silverware clattering. "Hey, Frankenstein, more coffee over here," he bellowed, his voice slicing through the diner like a blade. His crew, 3 suited men with smug grins, erupted in laughter. "Careful, don't let those charred claws spill it." All eyes turned to Lena Carter, the 34-year-old waitress gripping the coffee pot. Her hands, crisscrossed with scars that snaked up her arms and vanished beneath her crisp white uniform, didn't tremble. Not even a little. Lena's face, partially shadowed by her dark curls, bore the marks of a past she never spoke of, scars that told a story no one in Willow Creek bothered to ask about. "Yo, Lena, what's the deal with your hands? House fire in the projects?" sneered Ethan, Marcus's weaselly financial advisor, loud enough for the entire diner to hear. "Or maybe she was cooking something extra and it blew up in her face," Marcus added, winking at his cronies. The laughter swelled, a cruel chorus that drowned out the clink of dishes. Lena approached table 12 with deliberate steps, her posture ramrod straight, defying their expectations of a broken spirit. She poured the coffee with the precision of a surgeon, her scarred hands steady as steel. "Anything else, gentlemen?" she asked, her voice calm as a still lake, but with an undercurrent that made Marcus's smirk falter for a split second. An explanation. Marcus leaned forward, his eyes glinting with malice. "What's the story behind that?" He gestured at her scars, his tone daring her to crack. "Accident? Or did someone decide you needed a makeover?" Lena's eyes flickered, not with fear, but with something colder, sharper. It was the look of someone who'd faced worse than words and walked away unbroken. "Work," she said simply, turning to leave. "Work?" Ethan snorted, egged on by Marcus. "What kind of work leaves you looking like that? Strip club bouncer? Or something shadier?" Lena paused, her back to them, and turned slowly. "Careful," she said, her voice low, almost a whisper. "Some stories are too heavy for you to carry." The air at table 12 grew thick, the weight of her words hanging like a storm cloud. Marcus forced a laugh, but it came out strained. "What's that supposed to mean? You gonna scare us, Frankenstein?" What Marcus and his crew didn't know was that Lena wasn't just enduring their cruelty, she was cataloging it. Every Tuesday for months, they'd come to Daisy's diner, spewing insults and spilling secrets about their shady business dealings. Lena's mind, trained in ways they couldn't fathom, filed away every name, every deal, every careless word. She was a vault of their arrogance, and they were too blind to see it. Across the diner, a man in his mid-40s sat alone, his coffee untouched. Nathan Brooks, a former Marine on a cross-country road trip, watched the scene unfold with a tightening jaw. There was something about Lena's composure, the way she stood tall under fire, that stirred a memory buried deep in his years of service. It was the posture of someone who'd walked through hell and come out the other side. As Lena wiped down a nearby table, muttering her personal mantra under her breath, "If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe because you haven't seen what I'm capable of yet." Nathan's eyes locked on her arm. Her sleeve slipped, revealing not just scars, but the faint outline of a tattoo, a symbol he knew all too well. His heart skipped. "No way," he whispered. Who was this woman? Marcus wasn't done. Lena's unshakable calm grated on him, threatening his fragile ego. "Work," he mocked, leaning back in his chair. What kind of work, sweetheart? Slinging hash browns isn't exactly hazardous duty. Ethan chimed in, emboldened. Maybe she got too close to a deep fryer. You know, jobs for her kind. Lena stopped wiping the counter, her movements slowing to a deliberate cadence. She turned, and Nathan noticed something the others missed. A shift in her stance, like a soldier bracing for combat. Her kind, Lena's voice was steady, but there was a new edge to it, a blade hidden in silk. Care to explain what you mean by that? Marcus smirked, recovering his bravado. You know, people who work with their hands. Low-skill stuff. No offense, but you don't exactly scream rocket scientist. Nathan's grip tightened on his coffee mug. He'd seen this before. Bullies preying on someone they thought was weak, unaware they were poking a lion. But then he saw it again. Lena reached for a dropped spoon, and her sleeve rode up, revealing more of the tattoo. The faded letters spelled out 3rd ID. 3rd Infantry Division. Nathan's pulse raced. He'd serve alongside that unit in Afghanistan. That tattoo wasn't just ink, it was a badge of honor. Interesting, Lena said, her voice barely above a whisper. Low-skill stuff. That's a funny way to describe dragging a wounded soldier to safety through a hail of bullets. Marcus blinked, caught off guard. What did you say? Nothing, Lena replied, her tone neutral again. You want the bill, or are you going to keep running your mouth about my scars? The diner went quiet. Marcus stood, his chair scraping the floor. Listen, you little freak, he hissed, his voice rising. We're paying customers, and you're just, a what? Lena cut him off, stepping closer, her eyes locking onto his. For the first time, Marcus flinched, an involuntary step back. Nathan recognized that look. It wasn't just defiance. It was the calculated calm of someone who'd faced death and won. The manager, Carla, poked her head out from the kitchen, her face etched with worry. Lena, please, let's not have trouble. But Lena didn't break eye contact with Marcus. No trouble, Carla, she said. Just making sure our guests are satisfied. Marcus tried to laugh it off. Satisfied? With you? I bet you didn't even graduate high school. Those scars? Probably from some back alley brawl. People like you always find trouble. That's when Nathan saw it. A shift in Lena's eyes, like a switch flipping. The air in the diner changed, charged with an electric tension. Trouble, Lena murmured, a faint smile curling her lips. Funny how you assume the worst. Never crossed your mind that these scars might come from something heroic? Marcus scoffed, but his laughter was hollow. Heroic? You're a waitress in a dead-end diner. What's heroic about that? Lena leaned in, her voice dropping to a chilling whisper only Marcus could hear. The difference between us, Marcus, is you judge people by what you see. I judge them by what they do when they think no one's watching. Marcus froze, a flicker of unease crossing his face. Lena straightened, her professional mask back in place. Enjoy your meal, she said, turning away. But Nathan saw the truth in her movements. She wasn't retreating. She was regrouping. As Lena walked back to the counter, a young girl at a nearby table, no older than 10, whispered to her mom, "Why are they so mean to her? She seems nice." The mother shushed her, but the girl's wide eyes lingered on Lena, a spark of admiration igniting. Was this the moment someone would finally stand up for her? Nathan stood, his boots heavy on the linoleum. He approached Lena at the counter, his voice low. "Ma'am, can I have a word?" Lena glanced at him, sizing him up in an instant. "Make it quick," she said. Nathan leaned closer, his voice barely audible. "That tattoo. 3rd Infantry. You served, didn't you?" Lena's eyes narrowed, and for a split second, her guard dropped. What did Nathan know, and how would it change everything? Nathan's words hung in the air like smoke. Lena's posture stiffened, but she didn't deny it. "Marines?" she asked, her voice low, assessing him as quickly as he'd assessed her. 2 tours Afghanistan, Nathan replied. "You?" 3 tours Iraq. She paused, then added, "Combat trauma specialist." Nathan's respect deepened. He glanced at Marcus, who was now joking loudly with Ethan, oblivious to the storm brewing. "Those clowns have no idea who they're messing with, do they?" Lena's lips twitched, the faintest hint of a smile. "Not yet." Marcus, sensing he was losing the spotlight, pulled out his phone and started recording. "All right, everyone, check this out," he announced, his voice carrying across the diner. "Meet Scarface, the diner's finest. Let's get a close-up of that lovely face." He zoomed in, laughing as Ethan egged him on. "But she's at a side hustle filming horror reels." Lena turned slowly, her eyes locking onto the camera. But instead of shrinking, she smiled, a cold, deliberate smile that sent a shiver down Nathan's spine. He'd seen that look before, in soldiers who decided the fight was on. "Keep recording," she said, her voice steady. "You'll want this for posterity." Marcus laughed, misreading her confidence. "Oh, she loves the attention, but she's got a fan base for what burn victim cosplay." That's when Lena moved, closing the distance to Marcus's table with the precision of a predator. "You're right," she said, her tone deceptively light. "I'm used to cameras. Been filmed plenty of times, receiving commendations for valor, saving lives under fire, that kind of thing." Marcus hesitated, his phone wavering. "What? You're some kind of war hero now," he mocked, but his voice betrayed a flicker of doubt. Lena tilted her head, her smile sharpening. "What's your name, big guy? So when this video blows up, everyone knows who to thank." "Marcus Reed Enterprises," he said, puffing out his chest. "We clean up companies, get rid of dead weight, like employees who don't fit the brand." He smirked, oblivious to the trap he was walking into. "Reed Enterprises," Lena repeated, her voice like a blade. "Noted." She turned to Carla, who hovered nervously nearby. "Carla, can you confirm Mr. Reed is recording this voluntarily, using my name and image, and commenting on my appearance?" Carla blinked, confused. "Sure. And you?" Lena turned to Nathan. "Thanks for introducing yourself. Maybe we'll chat after my shift." Marcus's laughter faltered. "What's with the act? You're just a waitress. What's your deal?" "Oh, Marcus," Lena said, her voice dripping with calm menace. "You'd be amazed what an invisible waitress hears, especially when you've been running your mouth every Tuesday for 6 months." Nathan saw it then, the moment Marcus realized he might have underestimated her. His phone rang, shattering the tension. He answered, still smirking. "Yeah, Greg, what's up?" But his face paled as the voice on the other end spoke urgently. "What do you mean, disturbing information? What's going on?" Lena stepped closer, her voice cutting through the din. "Greg Palmer, right? Your biggest client? Funny, he's been mentioned a lot at this table. Something about streamlining staff by targeting certain demographics." Marcus's eyes widened. "How do you?" 6 months ago, Lena continued, relentless. "You bragged about helping Palmer's company fire minority employees under the guise of performance issues. So the trick was to backdate evaluations. Sound familiar?" The diner fell silent. Customers stared, some pulling out their phones to record. Marcus stammered, "That's a lie." "Is it?" Lena pulled her phone from her apron, holding it up like a weapon. "Carla, can you grab my recorder from the back?" Carla returned, handing Lena a small device. Lena pressed play, and Marcus's voice filled the diner. "Never put it in writing that it's about race. You fudged the numbers, attendance, productivity, whatever." Marcus lunged for the recorder, but Nathan stepped in, his Marine training kicking in. "I wouldn't," Nathan warned. Asterisk, what would Lena do with this power, and how far would it go? Marcus's world unraveled in real time. His phone buzzed again, his wife, Claire. "Marcus, what the hell is this video on Twitter?" she shrieked. "You're humiliating a war hero?" Lena raised an eyebrow. "Oh, did I forget to mention? I posted your little video on your own Twitter account with a caption, 'Reed Enterprises CEO mocks decorated veteran.' Sergeant Lena Carter, 3 tours in Iraq, saved 47 lives." Marcus opened Twitter, his hands shaking. The video had 50,000 views and counting. Comments poured in, "Disgusting behavior. Support Lena. Boycott Reed Enterprises." "There's more," Lena said, holding up her phone. 6 months of recordings. Names, dates, deals. All sent to the Department of Labor, the EEOC, and 3 law firms specializing in discrimination. Marcus collapsed into his chair, his bravado gone. "Why?" he whispered. "Why didn't you tell us who you were?" Lena's gaze was steel. Because respect shouldn't depend on a uniform or a medal. It should be human, basic, automatic. Nathan stepped forward, extending his hand. "Sergeant Carter, it's an honor." As Marcus and Ethan slunk out, tails between their legs, Lena turned to the other customers. "And you," she said, her voice quiet but piercing. 6 months of watching this happen. How many others have you seen humiliated and done nothing? The diner was silent, guilt hanging heavy. The young girl from earlier tugged at Lena's apron. "You're a hero," she whispered. Lena knelt, smiling softly. "So are you, kid. Speak up when you see something wrong." A week later, a news crew arrived at Daisy's diner. Lena's story had gone viral, not just for exposing Marcus, but for revealing her own past. She wasn't just a combat trauma specialist. She'd been awarded the Silver Star for dragging 5 soldiers to safety under enemy fire, sustaining her scars in the process. The revelation hit like a thunderbolt, turning her from a local waitress to a national symbol of courage. 6 months later, Daisy's diner was unrecognizable. The walls now boasted a hero's corner, with Lena's photo in her dress uniform at the center, surrounded by pictures of other local veterans. The diner had become a pilgrimage site, with veterans driving hundreds of miles to shake Lena's hand. Marcus Reed's empire crumbled. Reed Enterprises shut down after losing every major client. The federal investigation triggered by Lena's recordings uncovered a web of discriminatory practices across 15 companies. Marcus faced lawsuits, his wife left him, and his name became a cautionary tale. Lena, meanwhile, soared. She left her waitress job to become a consultant, advising companies on diversity and veteran inclusion. She testified before Congress, her scars now symbols of sacrifice, not shame. Nathan opened a veteran support center in Willow Creek, partnering with Lena to help others transition to civilian life. In a quiet moment, Lena sat with Nathan at the diner, sipping coffee. "I hid who I was for years," she said. "Thought it was easier. But maybe getting broken was what showed me how strong I really am." Nathan nodded. "You didn't just take down Marcus. You showed the world what strength looks like." Lena stood before a crowd at a veterans convention, her voice steady. "The best revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you. It's building something greater than they could ever dream, and doing it with a dignity they'll never understand." Lena Carter turned pain into power, cruelty into courage. If her story moved you, hit that like button, share it with the world, and subscribe for more stories of unstoppable heroes. Because sometimes the quietest voices carry the loudest truths.